Hello everyone, welcome back. In this lesson, we are gonna actually do some cleanup and we're gonna create our real application. So we are gonna stop using this fake service that you had here inside Nginx, and you're gonna actually create a node application just to exemplify what a real application and how the flow would go and how the request flow would then happen. So first things first, so I removed this from here, and now I have added this new folder here called app, and this app will contain few files, and it's a very naive application. The only thing you have here, the only JavaScript you have, it is to set up a server, which will be listed on port 7000 as you had before, and we will always return a hello world. This is a protected service. And we use actually a express here. And we have the package JSON common for node applications, and we have a very basic Nginx config here. It would be overridden by our Sidecar configuration, so we don't need to bother much about that. And one important one that we have added, it is a Docker file. And the Docker file will be using multi-stage building, and where we're gonna first build our node application, and we will then copy the node application into our Nginx base image, and we'll also add a command which will contain a information about the IP table that you had before in our Docker compose, and we brought it here inside this command, and we then start Nginx and then start our app server, and we wait for the process to finish, and whatever process finish first, in case of error, we're gonna be displaying the message from this process. Okay, so this Docker multi-process inside the same Docker container is not really recommended, because it is Docker is most commonly used in a Kubernetes or any container orchestration, and you can have actually multiple containers inside a logical group. Here, because we are using just our simple Docker compose, and I decided to kind of group these two processes in a single container. But this is not a security concern or anything like that. We even have a page specific to handle multiple processes in a single container. It is actually not recommended from the management perspective, because it's much easier to manage one container or one process per container, but that is not a big deal. And when you are not using a container orchestration like Kubernetes, it's totally fine to use multiple process inside a container. And he's describing here some good practice, some possibility that you can do when you are working this way, and you are just going to follow this because it will make our architecture simpler. But keep in mind that in a Kubernetes environment, you decouple those two processes into different containers, okay? So continuing, we have it here, and we're gonna close this, and then we have also, we are installing the IP table that you were having before in the Docker container, and we then simplified our services with here, and now we are actually using the new app example latest, and we have removed the IP table part of our configuration. I have also added one more service to match our diagram with 3 services. And another thing that I have done, it is improved our provisioning, and our provisioning now would build a image as part of the provisionment. And we also generate different Nginx config file per service. Instead of using the same we had before, we are going to actually automatically change the service name with the name of the service before we're using the same name for all the services, and this should help us to organize stuff. And what else? So let me see here. And I think was basically that. Let's run this provisioning. Let's run the provision. So first to build the image, then generate certificates, then trust, and finally you generated our configuration and Nginx configuration. And now you can see that in Nginx we have a generated and a gen folder and with different services, and we're gonna have an Nginx inside each service here. And then we have changed our Docker Compose to point to those generated Nginx configuration. And let's start all the services again. And you can see that all the services is started fine. And you are gonna go and access our services. Let's say service A is here, service is up and running, and you have our Nginx logs as usual here. And we now can do a curl http service p local, and voila, it's working fine. If you try the service C, it's also working fine. So we have now done some tidy up on our structure, and we have created our application, which we are redirecting all the requests to this new application rather than the Nginx part of it. So what we have now, it's more like this, and then we have a service, real service one here, and we are actually redirecting a HTTP manner this part, but this part still TLS or HTTPS connection. So I hope you have enjoyed that, and see you in the next lecture.